everyone, time for another issue of Build the Millennium Falcon. This time we've got issue number 34, last piece of the engine that's going to show around sort of to about there. So the last piece of that, a bit more framework, a bit more whole detail by the look of it. These are these plain vector plate things, and I think these are just a bit of detail that's sort of, actually I think it's these here that stick up at the back, both on top and bottom hole. So we're going to make a start on those today, and I think there's just a little bit more, we'll do some more light blocking on this one, so I'll get set up and come back to you shortly. Okay, so basically this week we've got, really we're just going to light block the last part of the engine, which is going to fit under there. I'd actually gone ahead and fitted those two bits, probably shouldn't have done, but it was pretty obvious where they were going, and can't see that they'd have to come off too many more times as I've already painted and light blocked them. We get these, which are, and we've got another interesting name here, Pressure Stabiliser Assemblies. There we go. Didn't we all just know that's what that was? What else? A bit more framework. Now this looks like it's obviously going to be coming around for the opposite side of the corridor here, so that's obviously destined for there. But it looks like we're not fitting that at this stage. Let's have a little look at the instructions here. So what I was going to do, these parts, these pressure stabiliser assemblies, come in two parts, and there's no reason I can see why we shouldn't go ahead and actually put them together even if we don't fit them yet. So we'll do that. It's just going to be a little bit of cleaning up and gluing, and as I say, we'll do a bit of light blocking on that one. So I'll get set up and come back to you shortly. These parts come in a little bag. They're already cut from sprues. There's no sprues to cut them off, so they're already pretty clean. The only thing I found is it's a little bit of a burr just on there. That's the only bit I've had to clean up, otherwise they're pretty much ready to go. Right, so I've cleaned the two halves of each part. I've done one already. That's basically what you'd end up with. There's a little bit of a gap, so we'll have to see what that looks like later on. I don't know whether that's going to want filling and smoothing off. The only bit of real cleanup you need to do is just on this edge, a little bit of a sprue where you can see where the sprue was. So I'm not sure. We'll have to see later on. But normally, if I was building a model, a seam like that, I would actually fill with putty and sand it and paint it, obviously, so it looks a bit rough. But it may be supposed to be like that on the Falcon. I'm not sure. So we'll have a look. In their photograph there, you can quite clearly see the seam. So I'll have a look on the reference shots of the real studio prop and see if those do have a visible seam there or not. So, but for now, I'm just using a little bit of super glue and just glue these together. Just test fit them first, make sure they're all going to fit together, and then just what I did is just put a bit of pressure on them for first, for about 10 seconds or so, whilst that cyanoacrylate does its stuff. If it was a slower glue, I've got a load of clamps I tend to use, but if you haven't got the special modelling clamps, you can use clothes pegs. They're just as good, just to hold the two pieces of the model together while the glue sets. Okay, so I'll put these together and come back shortly. Right, those are all cemented together, and it's only really that inside edge that doesn't look very nice. The outside edge looks like perhaps it's meant to have that groove down the middle, so I'm not too worried about that. It's just that inside edge. If I was going to be super fussy, might want a bit of cleaning up, but I can't remember if it's going to butt up against something. If it's going to go up against something like that, you're not going to see it. I can't remember if that's going to be visible or not, so we'll worry about that a little bit later, I think, when the time comes. So I'm just going to keep that with my little bits and pieces that we can't fit just yet. Now these are the two other pieces of the sort of tail fin assembly that goes around by the engine. So we've got the two pieces that we had already in the previous issues. This is the last one, which is going to go that side, but those are all light blocked and that one isn't. In fact, hopefully this would be a good example for anyone who's not done light blocking before and wondering what's he talking about, why is he always going on about light blocking. Here's hopefully a good example. So the piece on the left is light block, the piece on the right isn't, and if I hold them up to a bright light, can you see the difference? So the one on the left, you can't see any light through it at all, but look at the one on the right, you can see the light bleeding through. So when I'm boring you going on about light blocking, that's all it is. It's just, we just don't want that to seep through, because it's supposed to be metal and light doesn't go through metal. So that's all it is. Very simple, and I've shown you in the last couple of issues how I did it. Just literally masking off the outside, painting the inside, primer first, 1 or 2 coats, and then something nice and silver and reflective like that. And that's what I've done on the whole of the interior, so, but I'm not going to bore you with that again. I'm just going to finish that off, and then that's pretty much it for this one. Now, I'm going to give you a sneak peek actually. Yes, let's give you a sneak peek, because I've got the next couple of issues already. Forgive the state of the house, I've not moved very long ago, and I'm still sorting a lot of stuff out. So, look at these. So issue 35, this is one of the big landing gear enclosures, and look at this for a sizable piece. In fact, if we have a bit of fun, we'll take them out and we'll have a little look ahead, shall we? So I'm going to take those two and we'll fit them on. I'm going to probably put some little red LEDs in there. I think, if I remember rightly, when the Falcon was on Hoth in the hangar, you saw quite a lot of little red lights, landing lights or marker lights on the underneath of the hull, and that kind of looks like it's just begging to have a couple of lights in there. I'm sure there's a couple of lights supposed to go there, so let's have a little look how this goes. So I'm going to turn that upside down. I've got a little cake wheel, a little cake tray actually. Makes it, they're really good for building models because you can spray and rotate stuff as well. So right, so these pieces basically, one's going to go. If you've already got these pieces, you'll be ahead of me. But these are basically, remember this long bit here where it's all different colours, and we said earlier on, don't worry because you're not going to see that bit. Well, here's why, because this is going to go on top. So it's really starting to look like the Falcon. It needs a bit of better work for this simulated damage, but we'll talk about that another day. But there we go. So there's two big pieces coming up, and that's going to give us a little bit more impression of what it's going to be like. That fits quite nicely because there's, funny enough, there was a gap here. There was a gap through here where you could see the aluminium superstructure underneath, and I always thought that was a bit odd, but they've credit where credit's due. They've absolutely planned it properly, so that's how it looks now. And you just get this little bit just overlaps that. So yeah, and then obviously we're going to have some landing gear. I believe the landing gear is removable, so we can have it either on gear or we can have it in flight, and you can interchange it. So yeah, so just give you a little bit of a view from a bit further out. Yes, it's starting to starting to build up now. Right, I say that every other day, don't I? Right, I'm going to call it a day for this one. I'm just going to prime this and paint it for the light blocking, and then we're done, and then I'll get on with the next issue. Thanks. One little addendum before I go. As I'm light blocking the edge of the engine tail fin, I'm going to light block these now. There's already quite a bit of surface there, so in theory I shouldn't need to light block it, but there's an exposed piece where this hole is, so you could get some lights coming down. And because I'm thinking of embellishing it and improving it a bit as time goes on, I'm not just going to put the standard lights in that come with the kit. I'm going to put some additional ones in. There could be some little lights around the landing bay. I think there's some little red lights that go around here. Certainly I think there's a couple of red lights that go button there when it's on on the surface. And if I hold that up to the sun, I don't know if you can see that even, but the light is just leaking through it. So I'm going to light block that while I'm at it. I think it's just easier, just get everything light blocked, and then you're ready to go later on, instead of having to strip it all off and do it later. Okay, those are those two larger pieces, so I've just masked them completely on the outside. It's nothing too complicated or too clever, just a good bit of masking on the outside so you're not going to get any overspray, and I'm just going to prime them and spray them silver on the inside. Again, may not be necessary, but it's just as easy, well, it's a lot easier to do it now than later. So there we go, and that'll be probably it for this week.